So in this video, we'll take a closer look at these 4 tools from IWISS. And we have 2 wire strippers, and we also have 2 crimpers here. And I bought these off of AliExpress. So we have 2 wire strippers. One of them is from 0.2 to 0.8 millimeter. The second one is 0.6 to 2.6 millimeter. And then we have these 2 crimpers here as well. So the 2412 and the 2020. And I paid just around $50 for all of these. And this was include local tax and shipping as well. So definitely not expensive tools at all. And from what I can gather online, these tools are actually pretty decent. And some of them probably better Chinese tools out there in terms of crimping. So in this video, we'll just take a closer look and also try to crimp some wires. I'm not really a crimping expert. That's also the reasoning for getting all of these, because I don't really know what I really need in terms of sizing. Not just now, but also just going forward into the future. So I have some different sizing here for crimping. That's pretty much all I have right now. And I have this little bag of wires that we can, of course, use to test and crimp and strip as well. So let's just have a look at the 2 wire strippers first. So as you can tell, the only real difference is the dimensions here in the drawer, where of course you will grip the wire and remove the plastic shielding. On one of them, the lock is a little bit crooked here. It still does lock the drawer, but this one here is definitely bending more outwards, but it's still, like I said, it's holding the drawers in place. So it's working fine, but just a little bit of an oversight or quality control there. But else, very nice grip. We do have a little lock here underneath the grip on both sides, so the grip won't slide off, which is definitely one of the common issues with those cheaper tools like this. And these tools are probably not something you should expect to keep the rest of your life. Maybe if you're not really using them too much, but it's more of a buy and throw away kind of a thing. But anyways, you can see you can both cut wires, but you can also strip wires. And on the end here, there's a little bit of knurling towards the drawer, so you can probably just squeeze some maybe crimpers together if they're not like completely squeezed in. Oh, I'm not really sure what the idea with that is, but definitely there. On the other side, nothing really, and the spring just fell off one of them. That's definitely not a good first impression. Okay, it seems like you can open this up a little too wide. I'm not really sure if there should be some kind of a stopper. This one is definitely harder to open up all the way. So yeah, that's what you get with cheaper tools like this. A spring that doesn't stay on always. I don't know why they haven't thought about that. Shouldn't really open up all the way. I see now. You should actually use the lock as well for the tool not to open up all the way. So the lock is not only for locking the device, but it's also to make sure it doesn't open up all the way. So a little bit strange design, but I guess it works just fine. These 2 didn't come in any kind of packaging. Only the crimpers here did come inside of this packaging, as you can see here. So yeah, first impression definitely do feels cheap, but I think they will get the job done. And of course, we'll do some testing in this video. Next off, let's just have a look at these 2 crimpers. Does come in this plastic packaging, but they do have a lot of information. I believe both of them have exactly the same instructions. So if I kind of pull this out here, you actually have quite good instructions on how to crimp properly. You need to make sure it is a completely U-shape with parallel wings, and how you should not use the die that is too narrow. You should use the one in the middle here, not too wide and not too narrow. And of course, the conductor and the insulation shield, you should crimp those individually. You should use different sizes for both. So definitely nice instructions there, and this one should be able to crimp JST plugs and Tyco plugs of various sorts. You can kind of see the crimping range here for the different tools. So the first one, the 2820, is 0.08 to 0.5 millimeters, and the 24-12 is 0.21 to 3.31 millimeters. So kind of like that they have these instructions included. For a new crimper like me, these are definitely very handy. Else, of course, we do just have the crimpers inside. Let's just get it out of the packaging. So they pretty much look identical. Only real size is the drawers there is a little bit bigger. This one doesn't seem to want to be as close as the other one there. Yeah, so there definitely is some quality control issues there with this one as well. I don't know if you can see it, but this lock is also a little bit bent compared to the other lock here. Suppose it will be fine enough. Definitely does hold it in place, but it doesn't hold it all the way shut like the other ones here, which is pretty much all the way shut. Same style grip, so like on the wire strippers, we do have some rubber on the outside. Kind of forgot to mention that, but we do have some soft touch plastic here on the inside. So soft touch rubber on the outside and plastic on the inside. So definitely you do also feel very nice when you actually use them. And a little bit ergonomic as well, because yeah, they have a little bit of bend to them. Let's try and open it up and see if this one, the spring will also fall out. No, it doesn't do so. This one actually stops, and I suppose the other one will do the same. Yeah. So I guess it's only for the wire strippers that the spring will come loose if you forget to lock it in place here. These two also does have a screw, so I guess you could also tighten it in over time if they get a little bit loose. And the same deal here with the handles. Both of them are held in place, so they cannot really come off unwanted. And overall, yeah, definitely feels nice enough. I think also the draw is properly straight enough. Seem to be maybe a little bit crooked, but will that be an issue when it comes to crimping? I'll just find out in a moment. And the other one here is also pretty close to perfect. Let's try with these ones first, and let's just strip a wire and see if we can get a wire that actually fits in here. Yeah, let's just try and use this one actually. So we'll use the small one with the strippers here. Yeah, they strip it pretty well. A little bit easier than I would have thought actually. So we just have this little wire sticking out. Can we crimp it? Let's try it. And do bear in mind that this is not something I do regularly. I think this is maybe the third time I try to crimp a wire. So let's just hold it in the crimp first. I'm not really sure what sizing this is supposed to be. So I think this is a 1.6 sizing. Let's just put it in there. Put the wire in and let's just crimp away. Definitely did crimp something. Yeah, it looks quite nice actually. Kind of surprised there. See it actually on camera there, but it's definitely very good crimp actually. Let's try and crimp the rest. Maybe just squeeze it together a little bit. So, and go for the biggest one. I think so. Yeah, the 2.2 millimeter. Let's try and do that one. Wow. Kind of surprised there. It actually works. I would call that a pretty perfect crimp. Let's see if we could get it inside the plug. And if it will actually stay in there. Fits in there perfectly. Let me just see if I can pull it out. If the wire comes out or if the plug itself. The wire did come out, so maybe I'm using a little bit too thin of a wire. This is not really thick enough for this application, but definitely the crimp did work quite well. Let's try something a little bit smaller here. And let's just use the same cable, but just use the other end. And the same crimper as well. I'm not really sure if I would ever need the bigger one, but why not just get it included? So I have it. In case I would need it in the future, I really just needed the smaller one here. This one is spread apart pretty far, so let's just squeeze it together a little bit with the end here. Maybe like so. Just a little bit closer. And let's see what size we need. I think we need a 1.6 for this one. So let's just go for it. The wire here in all the way and crimp away. And yeah, that definitely looks pretty well crimped to me. It's actually quite bent here as well. That's just one annoyance. Let me just try and crimp the rest. Let's see how far we can get with that. I think we'll go with the 1.9 here. It feels like it want to turn on me, but yeah, let's just try and crimp it. Definitely do feel it bending backwards. Yeah, that was definitely not a nice crimp there at all. Probably could fix it. Let's try and use the drawers on the other tool here. I'll say that's passable. Let's try and stick it in a plug and see if we can actually pull it out or even get it in to begin with. Yeah, it does get in there. And do bear in mind, again, this is my first crimp with these types of plugs here, so of course your mileage may vary, but the actual terminal came out first, so not the cable. That's definitely good. Yeah, you can see that it definitely is pretty well attached. Do need quite a lot of force to actually get it out. Last crimper, I'm gonna try these smaller ones. Actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to get a crimper, because I need those for my server to make a ATX adapter. We can use the wire stripper here to just squeeze them a little bit together so they are more of a U-shape with parallel little sides, like so. And let's try a red wire. Let's just try and strip it using the 0.8. Pretty nice strip right there. And let's see if we can actually crimp this small one here. And what do we actually need to do so? I think 1.3 is a little bit too small, so yeah, 1.6 seems to be the right size. And just put the wire in and let the crimping begin. This one is a little stuck, but again, man, that's definitely a pretty decent crimping job. Does seem to be a little bit uneven. I'm not really sure if I have, or if I put the plug in too far actually. Oh yeah, I have. You can see there I'm not even touching wire, I'm just touching the shielding. That's of course my fault. It's pretty hard to do this and record it at the same time, but the crimp itself looks pretty good to me. Let's try one more of these and see if I can actually get a good crimp, because definitely my fault the first time around. And let's just cut the wire first and then strip it of course afterwards here. So we have some wire exposed there, and maybe just crimp it together a little bit. Squeeze it together just ever so slightly here. And try out the 1.3 I think first. Nah, 1.6 actually. It seems like this crimper is maybe a little bit too narrow, I think, for this one, so I probably need to crimp it 2 times, but let's just try it anyways. So the wire is in, I don't believe it's in too far this time around. And let's try and crimp. Actually, surprisingly good job, even though the part here where the crimper actually touches the terminal is not really as wide as the plug itself. Let's just try the rest of the plug here. Oh, scheiße, that was my fault definitely. Let's see if we can actually correct that. So let's just try the 1.9 for the rest of the plug. And let's the crimp begin. Yeah, not a bad job. Definitely did bend it quite a bit. Not sure if it's my crimping technique that needs some skill, but I feel like this is good enough. You can of course correct it a little bit in hand, or you could use probably the wire stripper. Just bend it a little bit in shape. So for a first time crimper like me, I probably need to learn how to crimp properly, but I think this tool is definitely have potential, especially considering the price. These are very inexpensive crimpers and wire strippers. I feel like price to quality, I don't think really you could go wrong with these. They seem pretty well made, except for of course the locks on 2 of them are a little bit crooked, but you could probably beat that a little bit into place. So yeah, I would say these are a go. Of course, links down in the description below if you're interested in these tools here. I can definitely recommend them for the price. You get what you pay for. Don't expect a tool that will last you a lifetime, but other than that, I think they're fine for a casual crimper like me. That maybe 2-3 times a year will crimp some wires. These are definitely handy tools to have laying around here. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. Until next time, take care.